What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Rebel Series video. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Share this out. Do all the good stuff. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content as of recent. Of course, we'll be at the joint practices between the New York Football Giants and the Detroit Lions. So we'll definitely give you some great content from there and all of the good stuff. So we have another Roster Bubble Series video for you guys today. And in these videos, I take a player that's on the cusp of being cut. We talk about their background, their competition, ways they can win a spot on the roster, ways they can lose a spot on the roster, and at the end, a prediction. So I originally was not going to do this player because I'm like, okay, he's a veteran. He should make the roster. Well, the way it's been going in camp, we are not so sure about that right now. Tre Herndon is our profile today. So what to know about Mr. Tre Herndon? He's number 23. He is 28 years old, 5'11", 190 pounds. The Jaguars signed him as an undrafted free agent out of Vanderbilt in 2018, and he stuck with them for a pretty long time until last year, 2023, and then he signed with the New York Giants a few weeks back. His stats, he's given up over 100 passer rating the last 4 years, and he's primarily a slot corner. Last year, no interceptions, 75.8 completion percentage allowed, 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. The year prior, 2 touchdowns allowed, 72.1 completion percentage allowed, total of 15 games, 16 in 2023. 2021, only 9 games, total of 94.7 completion percentage allowed, 1 touchdown, 181 yards. So he's been a decent slot corner, not great. Also 46 tackles last year, 3 quarterback hits, a tackle for loss. And as far as snap percentages go, 2023, 46%, 41%, 2022, and 97% in 21. But a season high and a career high, 91% in 2020. And yeah, so he was, again, the slot corner and a little bit outside corner in Jacksonville, and of course the New York Giants have signed him for corner depth, and he is, I think, the most experienced corner if we're speaking realistically. I mean, you have Breon Borders, but he hasn't really gotten, he's been in this place, and this place, and this place, and this place. He's been around the league, hasn't really gotten too much playing time. So yeah, I would say he's probably the most experienced corner on the New York Giants roster right now, and the Giants do need veteran leadership. They need quality play as well. The thing I always question is why the Giants decided to go with a slot corner and stick so many slot corners on the roster compared to, an outside corner or whatnot. How many slot corners do we need? Andrew Phillips, McLeod can play slot, Darnay can play slot, Tre Herndon can play slot. So there's a lot of slot corners, and that's one of the reasons why Tre Herndon may not make this roster. Not to mention he's not been playing with the first team at all. It's been Cordell Flott, Deontay Banks, Nick McLeod, and Andrew Phillips. Those 4 guys have stuck with the ones. Now, there are ways that, Tre Herndon can make the roster. I don't know if he would get a starting job. Probably not, just a backup corner. But nonetheless, who is he competing with? We mentioned Breon Borders, who's been around the league. Caleb Hayes, who was an undrafted free agent a couple of years ago. You got David Long Jr., who was a former Ram. You got Darnay Holmes. He's probably the second most, alongside David Long Jr., the second most experienced corner. You have Alex Johnson, the undrafted free agent. You have Nick McLeod, and you have Mario Goodrich. I might be forgetting 1 or 2, but that is the group right now that he looks to be competing with for that corner position or any viable corner spot on the roster in terms of a backup. How can you win? Health is number 1. He's had an injury bug over the last few years that's kept him out of a few games. 2021 was one of them. But most of the time he's been healthy. Position versatility. He has played outside corner in camp. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, primarily a slot corner, but he's played outside during camp, which is good for versatility reasons because, again, the Giants don't have a ton of experience in that corner room, and Tre Herndon could help it out a little bit, and especially if he fits the scheme that Shane Bowen is running. Special teams, I don't think he'll be a huge asset on special teams, but it would help because, again, guys like Borders, Hayes, Long Jr., Johnson, McLeod, Goodrich, those guys do play specials, and they have to have some special teams ability, whether it's being a gunner or a blocker or a personal protector. And it would help Tre Herndon's case to make a spot on the roster because, why would you be a backup and not play specials? I mean, that doesn't really make any sense. If that was the case, that he probably is a healthy scratch on game day. Ball hawk ability. He hasn't had a ton of interceptions over the course of his career. Looking at the statistics in the doc that I have set up, I mean, he had 3 interceptions in 2019, and that's it. That's it for his career. And I get it, slot corners really don't get a ton of picks, but, the pass deflections could go up as well. Batting the ball down. I mean, he had 13 pass deflections in 2019, 5 in 2020, 5 in 22, and 9 in 2023, which is good. But, of course, you would like to see a pick here and there. Darnay Holmes has gotten a pick here and there. So you would like to see it from Tre Herndon. He's gotten his hands on a ball or two during camp, which has been impressive from him in terms of making the roster. And also you would like to see some support against the run. You'll likely get that more in the preseason games. But if he's playing slot, you best believe he should be trying to support against the run if the running back cuts it to the outside or whatever the case may be, because slot corner, you're not necessarily like a outside corner where they're not really too much involved in the running game. Slot corner, you have to be a little bit more involved. You have to tackle well versus the run. It's different responsibilities, and Tre Herndon knows that because he's been the slot corner over the last few years. But he's got to play at least solid versus the run because there are a couple of guys on this roster that can play well versus the run. They're slot corners. How can he lose? Health is definitely one. Not ascending in the depth chart. I don't know if anyone's going to break the first team from the depth guys that we've seen. Because, again, the 4 are McLeod, Banks, Flott, and Andrew Phillips. But if a guy gets injured, you would hope that Tre Herndon is one of those guys that steps up at the first team and he plays a little bit. Or, he'll play maybe with the second team in games where the first team doesn't play. You hope he ascends a little bit. And you hope he stays with that second team. And he hopes too, because he's got to make a roster spot with the New York Football Giants. And also, I think he needs to make plays on the ball more. I said that. And if he doesn't, then he's not going to be noticed. And one-on-ones are a key thing in training camp and in the preseason in general, going up against wide receivers that are better or worse than him. He's got to stay, competent, for lack of better words, and he's got to stand his ground. He's got to stand his ground against the backup wide receivers that he'll be facing. So in ways that he could lose if he's not healthy, not ascending in the depth chart, lack of plays on the ball, not supporting against the run, and getting beat in one-on-ones, and the lack of versatility on the outside and in the inside, and then how he can win. As we have went over, health, position versatility, special teams a little bit, ball hawk ability improves, and versus the run if he can support the run a little bit. In my opinion, I didn't have this before, but I will say it now. I don't think he makes the roster. He's a guy like Jordan Phillips that has been playing with the backup teams, and I guess they're going with a little bit of the youth movement and trusting their investment in certain draft picks. But Herndon hasn't stood out too much. If he makes a couple of plays during the preseason, I'll change my mind. But right now, I don't have him making the roster. Like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.